Hey guys, MD Prepper here. Trying to think about what I wanted to do reviews on and decided I need to do a review on my low-cost surplus guns. Now, surplus guns have gone up a lot in price in the last few years compared to when I first started buying them. But they're a great deal still. Wonderful. Now, my previous reviews on cheaper firearms were on newly made stuff you can find at your local Walmart or big box stores, that kind of stuff. Your little Mossberg Plinkers, your Mossberg Maverick 88 shotguns, etc. Your cheaper modern weapons. Don't discount military surplus stuff. Now, do your homework, know what you're looking at. You kind of got to know your firearms before you go doing this. But I bought quite a few surplus guns back in the day when I had very little money. I honestly first started getting them just because I listened to my grandfather talk about old rifles back in the day, old German Mausers, that type of stuff. And when I was in med school, I bought this about 8 years ago at a local gun store here for cheap. We're not going to talk necessarily about how much I paid for it yet, but love this rifle. I bought this thing and it looked like dirt. It was awful. Beat up old stocks, lots of corrosion, cheap finish on it, etc. But I'll tell you what, this is probably one of the prettiest guns I own overall. I did a lot of work on it, but I like it a lot. It's a Mauser action. What can you say? Mausers kick butt. Now, the Turkish Mausers, this one being made in 1944, is basically a put-together version of the standard long Mauser rifle used during World War I by the Germans. By World War II, they were shooting the K98s, which everyone knows is probably the finest bolt-action rifle ever made. The K stands for Kar. Kar is German for short. So basically they figured out that this big, long, heavy rifle used in World War I for long-range, accurate shots was a little too bulky, a little too big for general-purpose uses in World War II, so they cut the thing down, basically lightened it up, thinner stocks, etc. slightly. So made it a lighter, quicker rifle. Nothing wrong with this one. Now, I love my K98s and all that. Great rifles, highly recommend them, but for the price, this is a much better gun. Now, before you go out buying surplus, you need to know what you're looking at when you get out there. You got to check the barrels. Back in the day, these things were shooting only corrosive ammo. Of course, being from a poor nation with poor trained soldiers, they tended to neglect their guns. So make sure you check the barrel of this thing. With corrosive ammo, you can have some pretty shot out barrels. Now, you can get newer barrels with these things to replace them out for relatively cheap, but hey, why buy an extra barrel if you can find one on the rack with a good barrel? This thing, almost pristine barrel. I've never seen a better looking barrel on something this old, especially back in the old corrosive ammo days. But great rifle. Let me show it to you here up close. Now, I spent a lot of time working on this thing. Many, many nights. So, this is the finished result. I think this is quite pretty. I think it's actually quite gorgeous, actually, for what I paid for it. Especially once you find out what I paid for it. So, there's the rifle. Action, smooth as silk, like any kind of Mauser should be. Straight bolt on it, not the bent bolt. Maybe not as quick in action as the bent bolts you're going to find. It's going to be harder to mount a scope on this, but I don't tend to mount anything on this. I'm going to keep it just the way it is. Love this rifle. Now, what you may find about this thing, if you look real close, when I got it, upper part there was split on that side and there. Now I've patched that back together. You can still see it. It does not hurt the rifle's function at all. Still incredibly accurate. The bluing on this thing is gorgeous. Had a little bit of rust on it when I got it. Got that off. You can still see a few blemishes, but I'd say that's for age. I don't worry about that. You probably can't see right there. Got that patina of time on it. Did not come with this military style leather sling on it, but I got that, even though it's not exactly accurate for this. It works real well. I didn't want a nylon or synthetic stock on a good old wood piece like this. Gorgeous rifle for cheap. Fires the 8mm Mauser, which is what they used on the bad guy side, the Nazis, during World War II. Though they used some others, the primary one was the 8mm. There you go. This thing is ballistically equivalent to a 30-06, give or take. About the same. Tend to be loaded just a little bit hotter. Back in the day, you could find the old brass case corrosive stuff that was actually Turkish in a 70 round bandolier for about $6, maybe $5. I bought tons of this stuff when I had no money because I realized that was a good price. And I thought it was interesting, this Turkish ammo was made in the same place as the rifle. Ankara, etc., Turkey. Some of the head stamps on this thing, this is a 1943 ammo, which there's no way the camera's going to pick up. But I've got rifle ammo made specifically for these rifles, made in the same year as this rifle. I think that's cool as heck. Now these things, the Turkish Mauser ammo, a lot hotter than your standard. You're going to get a lot of cracked casings and all that. I have never had a failure to fire with any of this ancient ammo, despite how poorly it may have been stored. I've got a lot of this stuff laying around. If you want to go slightly more modern, you can still find a lot of surplus that's in steel cases. Shoots just fine. I think this was Romanian. I'd have to go check my records. Steel case shoots just fine in it. I think the brass stripper clips that come with the Turkish ammo work better than the little steel looking ones here that come with Romanian and all that. But minor point. It says 5 rounds of 30-06 basically. Kicks butt. Fantastic deer rifle. Does the job tremendously. Now I usually have this little buttstock cartridge holder on there, but I took that off. That holds 10 rounds just to keep it around close and available if I need it, but strip clips are the way to go with your old Mauser rifles. Loads quick and efficiently. Again, gorgeous rifle. Now, would I recommend everybody buy something this big and heavy for general purpose? No, but if you don't have a whole lot of cash, it does the job well. I've just not seen a lot of Turkish Mauser reviews. I've shot the heck out of this thing. I've shot several thousand rounds over this over the years. Haven't fired a lot recently. It's flawless. It's absolutely flawless. Tremendously accurate. The only thing I don't like about it compared to your standard Mausers, the sights are a little hard to see. They're a little low here. This little notch here on the wood goes up to the notch for your rear sights. Now, the graduated sights go up to 2,000 yards, which is a little excessive here, guys. I'm not that proficient with iron sights on a rifle like this, but shoots to point of aim, never had any trouble with it. With corrosive ammo, just make sure you use some ammonia, soapy water, something like that to clean out your barrel. You're good to go. There's nothing wrong with corrosive ammo. If you're afraid of shooting corrosive ammo, I think you're just lazy. You know, you're going to be lazy with cleaning all your guns. Corrosive ammo is not bad, guys. It's cheap, it's effective, shoots just fine. You're not going to find it in all the cool hunting loads and all that, but hey, just for plinking, target shooting, getting used to shooting a rifle, nothing wrong with it. Now, I'm going to ask a little question here. I want you guys to pause for a few seconds after looking at this thing and tell me how much you thought I paid for it. This was probably bought 7 or 8 years ago, give or take. Now again, it did not look like this off the shelf at all. Nothing at all like this off the shelf. So, took a lot of work, varnish work and all that, sanding, polishing, etc. I'm going to pause here for a few seconds. I want you to please, if you will, for just a second or two, pause my video and think for a second how much I paid for this, and please post it below. I'm just curious as how much people would think I'd have paid for this rifle back in the day. Again, great rifle. It's been shot, obviously, but fantastic shape. So, pause the video here for a second. I'm going to pause for a few seconds, let you guys think about how much I paid for it. Then I'm going to tell you how much I paid. Alright guys, hope I get a lot of responses on this just because I'm curious as to what people think about this rifle. I paid $79 for this gun. Fantastic buy back in the day. These things are running $300 these days. This was not some kind of steal from some old man who didn't know what the heck he was selling me. This was from a reputable gun store here in South Carolina that at the time thought $8 was all this thing was worth. Insanity. Wish I bought more of them. $79. Mauser rifle does the job. Ammo's a little expensive these days for 8mm Mauser, but you can still get surplus stuff, and again, it's going to cost you about the same as shooting a 30-06. They're ballistically equivalent for all intents and purposes. I think 8mm is probably a little more powerful overall. Just hadn't seen any reviews on Turkish Mausers. Wanted to show how good looking of a rifle this could be. Even an old, quote, cheap Turkish one, which get a lot of bad reps and all that. I've had no problems out of it, which of course I knew what I was looking for when I was buying it. Anyway, Turkish Mausers, great for prepping. Even today, even though the prices have gone up, If you can find one, makes a nice little project gun. Just gives you something to work on. You'll appreciate the firearm if you spend a whole lot of time working on this thing, oiling the stocks and all that. It's a good way to relax, good way to chill out after a busy day, working on an old gun stock, trying to get it up and working. Hopefully I may post some other videos of some of my other projects I've done over the years. This one was one of my first ones and probably my prettiest one. Anyway, MD Prepper out. Thanks, guys.